Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. What does Alex need to do to win this time? What's up, guys? Laura Sanko here, as always, joined by my BFF, Din Thomas. I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing?
I'm good. I know, and I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. It feels like forever, and I
Too
don't like
long.
that.
I know, it's been way too long, way too long.
Yeah.
Guys, we appreciate your participation in this channel. If you can, take this moment to click subscribe, because it really does mean a lot to us. I'm not going to bother you with all the rest of the housekeeping stuff. Just click subscribe. That's all we ask, okay? Don't make us beg. Anyway, we are here to talk about UFC 320 main event. Light heavyweight title on the line, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. A rematch. The guys just fought not that long ago, but not really that soon ago either. About 7 months, I guess. Off the top, Dean, was this the fight that you expected for Magomed's first title defense? Or
I
did you think
mean,
that they were going to send it another
yeah,
direction? Yeah.
it had to be. I mean, Alex Pereira has been the A side ever since his knockout of Jamal Hill.
Mm-hmm.
He's turned himself into a star. So whenever you have a star like that and he was the champion and he loses his belt, they typically get an opportunity right away to get it back. It was just a matter of time for when Alex was like, okay, I'm ready to do it. So this fight makes sense, and it's the right fight to make, especially as close as the first one was. And I think we almost forget how close it was, but
I
it was,
did.
yeah, it was pretty, like when I watched it twice, and the first time I watched it, I was like, I need to go back and watch that third round.
Exactly. No, exactly. It's funny that you say that because I think my feelings on the night were kind of like colored by how the fight played out exactly like, and it was just not what I expected it to be from either guy, to be honest with you. I thought Ankalaev would wrestle more. I knew that he was predominantly a striker, but I thought he'd wrestle more, and I thought Pereira would be a little bit more himself in terms of like the aggression, pressure, whatever. Neither of those was true. And then so it's like my perception of how the fight went got stuck in those feelings. And it took all this time off and me rewatching it to go, wow, that was a very close fight, like really close, really
You're right
close.
about that. Like our perception of when we first see it or what we're hearing about, and I can only imagine from a TV perspective, like if you're listening to the commentary, so whatever their narrative is, it
Hmm.
is skewing your perception. Um, and I'm listening to it too. I'm right there and I'm watching and I'm listening, I'm hearing the crowd. So all those different things kind of had my perception of that fight a little bit favoring Ankalaev, maybe a little more than I should have.
Same.
But after rewatching it, he did win the fight.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, he did win.
um, it's funny to have a rematch that really, I mean, I guess we could talk about other fights, but there's really no point talking about other fights because this is the fight that we're going to see yet again, and it's so fascinating to have had it play out in a way that I think was unexpected to a lot of people. So I really want to focus on revisiting that last fight and picking it apart a little bit. So instead of reading like generalized stats, I'm just going to read stats from that fight. Well, I'll do the tail of the tape, which is generalized, of course, but then I'm going to read the stats from that fight specifically. So, Ankalaev, overall record 21-1-1, interestingly enough. He's 33 years old, 6'3", 75-inch reach. Pereira, 12-3 overall, 38 years old, 6'4", 79, nothing, nothing, we all know that. So last fight, it was a unanimous decision, and every judge gave Pereira round one, and two of the three judges gave Pereira round five. So everyone agreed on 2, 3, and 4, but I think to your point, round 3 was the one that was probably just razor close, the closest. In terms of significant strikes, this is where it gets really interesting. Pereira landed 76 of 137, a 55% accuracy. Ankalaev landed 94 of 180 at a 52% accuracy. Takedowns, Pereira was 0 for 1. Ankalaev was 0 for 12. That was unexpected, at least from my perspective. And then control time was 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Really not that much control in a 25-minute fight. Like a good amount, 20%, but not like complete dominance. This is where it gets really interesting. In terms of targeting, so who targeted the head and how they did it, okay? head targeting, only 14% of Pereira's shots went to the head. 11 of 57. 38% of Ankalaev's shots were to the head. 36 of 112. To the body, 22% of Pereira's shots were to the body. 17 of 25. And 31% of Ankalaev's shots were to the body. The leg, 63% of Pereira's offense, of his striking offense, I should say, was to the leg. And 29% for Ankalaev. And then the clinch, which didn't really matter that much, Pereira landed 7 of 7 and Ankalaev 19 of 21. I just thought that was really interesting to see how little Pereira either wanted to or was able to land shots to the head.
That is telling, actually. I didn't know it was that low. And now, as I revisit that in my head, knowing them stats, I can see it being that low. And I think a lot of that just had to do with he was on the defense so much and worried about so many different things backing up, worried about the shot, worried about getting hit. And then Ankalaev, when you look at his numbers, he did such a good job with that balanced attack. I mean, it literally is like 30% across the board on head, body, legs. And he had a really strong balanced attack. That, coupled with the notion of a takedown, kept Pereira just a little off balance and a little confused, which is probably why he wasn't headhunting
the entire time.
I'm sorry?
I said he looked uncomfortable the entire time.
Yeah.
Except round one. Round one, it looked like, okay, he's kind of finding his groove a little bit, but we're not there yet. But then after that, you felt like he was fighting, and I hate to use this word with a fighter because he's not scared, but fighting scared. Like just constantly, he's so concerned about the takedown that it's really hampering everything else he's trying to do.
Well, when you think about it, so that first round, he controlled that first round with some solid movement, lateral movement, and a lot of leg kicks. What I think it might have been the game plan. All right, you know what? I'm going to chop his legs up a little bit, slow down the movement, which didn't really work, right? Because in the second round, when Ankalaev came out, that was his best round throughout the whole fight. And that's a good time to have a really good round, right? After you lose the first round and you come out the second round and you have your best round. And I think the idea and the fact that he came out and had that strong round really had an effect mentally on Pereira. Pereira just, I think it really, he might have been expecting a takedown, and yet he gets punched and wobbled twice in the second round. And I think he just never really fully found a way to recover and go, all right, what do I need to do to get back into this fight? Because I'm expecting a takedown. This guy's going at my head, coming at my throat. So I think Ankalaev did just a really good job of confusing Pereira in that fight and not allowing him to ever get comfortable, ever get set.
Do you think that, the narrative at the time was like, this was an off night for Pereira, and he, we kept talking about his schedule leading into that fight. Like he was literally all over and he was all over the world doing this, doing that, all these appearances, really capitalizing on the peak of his popularity and cashing in on it as he should. Do you buy into that, or do you think that fight played out it did because Ankalaev's style and Ankalaev's tactics?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to always make that excuse. It's always easy to look back and for our brain to try to make sense of things and go, oh, well, he had this crazy schedule. Well, I'm like, he's had fights where he's had this crazy schedule and he just was still on a tear. I think just the stylistic matchup from Ankalaev, who is so well-rounded because he was the most well-rounded guy that Pereira has fought. Most of the guys that Pereira has fought were strikers. And with that being said, I still think that Ankalaev didn't really even get to show his full thing. Now, you said you didn't want to go back and look at other fights, right? But I did. And I think the fact that I did. So I think the fact that he was fighting during Ramadan actually slowed him down a bit.
I forgot about that.
Right? I thought it slowed him down a bit because if you go back and watch the Rakic fight, he seemed quicker.
Yeah.
Like his punches looked quicker. And I'm thinking like if his punches looked quicker, he might have gotten to Pereira even more. if he had
That's a
fought
really
him the
good
way.
catch. I had forgotten that fight took place during Ramadan.
Yeah,
It's a big deal.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Do you feel like, I guess the question that we're, the whole point of this video, is this next fight going to be any different, and how, and if so, how? Because I almost feel like now maybe, having stuffed all 12 of Ankalaev's shots, although the argument could be made that he wasn't really trying to get him down to the ground fully to begin with. That's definitely an argument to be made there. But regardless, Pereira did not get put on his butt and controlled on the canvas. And on the other side of things, Ankalaev was like, man, I out kickboxed this guy. Do you think that Ankalaev is going to have less respect for Pereira's striking, and Pereira's going to have less respect for the threat of the takedown, and we're going to see like a totally different fight, or is this
Yes.
going to be like the exact same fight?
I think we see a different fight. I think we see a different fight. I think we see a fight. I'm being optimistic here. I'm going to be optimistic. I think we see a more a higher activity fight. I think we see more activity. I think we see Pereira getting taken down and getting back up, and we might see Pereira being more active on his feet, landing some bigger shots. This is what I'm hoping for, but I think we see that this fight. I think both guys, after experiencing each other the first time, are going to be a little bit more confident going into this fight, thinking that, oh, I got the answer now.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do now, so I'm just going to go out and do that. So I think we see a different fight, one with more activity.
Do you, it's been, I guess, 7 months, and I feel like we haven't really heard much from Pereira. I watched his interview with Ariel. Ankalaev chirping a little bit on X, and there's definitely a little bit of beef there. It's just a slider, though. It's not like a full quarter pound patty. It's just a little slider.
Yeah,
What?
little something, little something, something.
Yeah, a little something.
Look.
You don't like my beef analogy?
No, I like it. I like it. A little slider, a little Castleberg, White Castle.
Just a little White Castle slider.
Yeah.
Are there any X factors that you see in this fight? Obviously, the big X factor last time was what we just talked about. Pereira's schedule. I don't think that that's the case anymore. He did just make a movie, but I think that wrapped up well in advance of like 6 or 7 weeks before the fight. So he doesn't seem to be as distracted. I don't know.
What I would like to see, this is my biggest problem, is because whenever I pick fights, I always think of how I would coach them and what I would do for their success. And where I thought Pereira had some success, and these were small moments, but I thought he has very good success in these small moments, and that was actually in the clinch. Some of his foot sweeps and the way he was just kind of manipulating Ankalaev, like when he wasn't against defense. Like when he actually was offensive in the clinch, not just being defensive, but when he was offensive in the clinch, like he swept them twice. Now, if he had that in his game plan to go, all right, you know what? If this guy wants to clinch me, perfect. This is where I want to be anyway. This is where I'm going to do some damage. I'm going to be violent in the clinch. I'm going to off balance him and knee him in his mouth. I think he could have a lot of success there. And for me, that would be an X factor. If he implores a game that incorporates a violent and dangerous clinch.
He's definitely a guy who flourishes when he's going forward, and I'm not going to say he looks bad when he's going backward, but I think that it's just not his comfortable style. He's much better when he's able to slowly, march forward, squeeze the fight the way that he wants to, and not get put onto the back foot, which is what Ankalaev was able to do so successfully. It'll be interesting to see. What do you feel like the stakes of this fight are, besides the obvious, the belt's on the line, of course, but for Pereira, it kind of feels like, listen, his stock's not going to go away, but if you lose to Ankalaev twice,
no, it does damage him. I mean, think about that. Like we were ready to put this guy in the Hall of Fame. We were ready to put it, like, after the run that he had and that ascension so quick, we were ready to put him in the Hall of Fame while he was still fighting. Now, if he lost that first one, and if he loses this one, then we got to reconsider what his value is to MMA. Was it just he had some lucky not lucky, but favorable fights on his way
Yeah,
up. Is that what it was? Like he never had to really go through the ringer, and he had some favorable fights. So if he loses this one, we got to question that. Like, was it just the matchmaking that got him where he was? Now, if he can win this fight, especially do it in an impressive fashion, we start putting him back in that conversation of, man, one of the greatest, dual champ, middleweight, light heavyweight. We got to put him in that conversation. And for Ankalaev, this is staying power for him. For sure, staying power for him. This is where he can really solidify that, because a lot of people might have thought that might have been a fluke the first time. So this is staying power.
I also think that, just being honest, I don't think that if Ankalaev loses, he gets the trilogy. At least
No.
not in the near future.
No. Come on.
It's just not a matchup that a lot of people are clamoring for. It's the right matchup, and I am excited to see it. But it's, the trilogy would not be, I think, high on people's lists if he loses. So not only is the belt at stake, but it's like you're not in a position where you're immediately going to get another shot at this.
Come on, let's be honest here. Carlos Ulberg and Dominic Reyes are fighting next week. If Carlos Ulberg wins, we know we're trying to put that pretty dude in the title shot.
He is pretty.
You see what I'm saying? We trying to put that pretty mother in the title shot.
What about Dom Reyes? Dom Reyes is pretty.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna hate on him. But he got the little widow's peak like Eddie Munster. But I'm not gonna hate on him. I'm not gonna hate on Dom Reyes. But we know that if Carlos Ulberg wins, he's getting a title shot.
Yeah, that's a very shiny matchup. Very shiny matchup.
For sure.
That's actually was going to be my next question. So you took it right out of my mouth. So, okay, before I get your official prediction on this fight, I shouldn't say I didn't do any of this. Jake, our lovely producer Jake, took the time to go back and revisit your stats overall, because I know we've kind of joked about this like many, many times about how are we doing overall? How are you doing? Because 9 times out of 10, I take the complete chicken shit way and I don't make a prediction, because this is my channel and I get to do that. I get to be a chicken shit if I want to. But I make you do it.
I know, and I love it. And I be bold too. I be like, this is guaranteed. Bet your house on this dude. So let me have it.
Yeah.
What's the
you say it with your entire chest every time, and we love that about you, Dean. So we're gonna bring the receipts, okay? I'm gonna walk through here some of your own personal stats on how you've been doing this channel. And actually, I'll be honest with you, Dean, I was not disappointed. I am actually, I'm not gonna say impressed, but I thought it was going to be worse than it is.
No, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it is what I'm saying, actually.
All right, I'll take that.
So again, you're just predicting winners. We're not talking about odds and finding value and making a bet based on value. This is just who we think will win. You're hitting at 48%.
Man, I'll take it. 48%.
48% is not bad.
I'll take it.
There's a lot of professional gamblers that ride right around that 52%, and that's a break even or make a little money position for them to have over the course of time. So Dean, I feel like you're doing great.
Yeah, so I always tell people this. I tell people, when I make picks, like some nights I'll go 5-0, and other nights I'll go 0-5, which is equally as impressive as the other. But I always tell people, for as much as I study, I'm always right about 50%, I think. And this is just evidence. And I could just Christmas tree it and be at about 50%. But that just speaks to the randomness of MMA.
It does. This is a game that is played on a razor's edge, and we all know it. I do have some bad news, though. So we ran some other stats.
Okay.
And this came up because this was the most liked comment on our Hamzat Drikas preview video. And that comment was from Zenith Angel. And the comment was, Dean Thomas got to be the biggest Hamzat / Makachev / Ankalaev hater in the business. And it had 121 thumbs up. And I got to tell you, we also came with those receipts. So for all three fighters that I just mentioned, you predicted them to win one time. Okay, so you had Hamzat to win over Duplessis.
Mm-hmm.
You had Hamzat to lose versus Whitaker. You had Makhachev to lose versus Poirier, to lose versus Volk, and to lose versus Volk the other time. Then you had Ankalaev to lose versus Pereira. Your Dagestani picks are not great.
So
And you
yeah,
could,
I pick against them every once. Well, I do a lot because eventually it's going to catch up.
do you think
The
they'll
gap
get figured out?
the gap is going to close.
Yeah.
The gap is closing, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm picking Jack Della Maddalena over Islam.
We haven't even gotten there yet. You
So
are?
go ahead and roll. Go ahead and add that into the ingredients.
is that is that just your is that your belief in Craig Jones? Is that your
Yeah,
belief
that's
in
my belief. That's
Jack's
my belief
boxing?
in Craig Jones.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that guy.
yeah. So here's the problem. Here's the problem. I picked Umar to beat Marab, and he lose.
That's actually a good point. That's actually a really
You see what
fair
I'm
point.
saying? This is my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. He should
Yeah.
count. That should count in the comment didn't mention Umar, but Umar should
Well,
absolutely
you
be
know how
part of
people
the
skew
brethren.
stats in order to make their point stronger.
Yeah. Oh, who would ever do that?
Man, who would
Who would
ever do
ever
that?
do that?
I
That
mean,
never happens in
why would
life.
ever anybody ever do that? No, but no, I feel as though the gap is closing as we inch further into MMA. Not listen, I'm not saying that the Dagestani guys are finished. I'm not on this mission to get these guys beat. I'm just saying the gap is closing. I mean, if you look at Usman Nurmagomedov, Paul
Mm-hmm.
Hughes was right there with him. You look at Umar. Umar lost.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, Alexander. Well, not. Well, yeah, Volk the first time against Islam had a good fight. Second time, obviously, we saw how that went. I just think the gap is closing, and it catches up to everybody. It catches up to everybody. Now, obviously, their reign has been so long because those guys are just so disciplined and they have just such a solid foundation of what it
Mm-hmm.
is that they're doing. But it catches up to everybody.
You have the unique perspective of seeing the cycles of MMA play out, right? Like you've been in this game a long, hot minute, Dean. And, there was the age of the American folk style wrestler. There was the age of the elusive striker a little bit, I feel like. There are sort of waves of momentum. And I take your wisdom to heart that we are in the midst of a wave, as impressive as it is, and that defenses are learned, and you kind of like the game adjusts itself and evolves.
For sure. When we get guys like Cade Rotullo
Mm-hmm.
with that level of grappling and those offensive options that those guys possess, and if they can throw a couple good punches, they're gonna be a problem, and they will be a problem for the Dagestani guys,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, 100%. Now we're not 100, we're not really there yet. We're not there yet, but like I said, the gap is closing. It's just the guys now are just trying to defend wrestling with wrestling, but once they start defending wrestling with other things, like we see Craig Jones doing with Jack Della Maddalena, like he did with Bilal, and like he's going to
Mm-hmm.
be doing with Islam, it's going to change, and we're going to start seeing some different styles emerge, and we're going to see what the Dagestani guys can do in order to hold on to their stronghold, because they got a stronghold of the game. Let's make no mistake about it. But like I said, I've seen these waves come where this style and this team and that team, and
Mm-hmm.
me and Matt Sarah was talking about it today. We've been employed with the UFC since 2001 at some level. Since 2001, I've been employed with the UFC at some capacity. So I've been dealing with MMA at the highest level since its entirety,
Yeah.
since the 90s. So I know how this game works.
And that's why we pay you the big bucks on this channel.
And I'm still 50% on my under 50% on my picks.
All right. Well, speaking of picks, I want to make you do it again. Ankalaev versus Pereira. Who you think gets it done this time?
I actually Ankalaev. I actually think Ankalaev. No, I actually think Ankalaev gets it done this time, and I actually think he gets it done a little easier. I think guys who win the first time
Mm-hmm.
have an easier time figuring it out the second time, and once they figure it out the second time, it's just easier for them to roll downhill. I actually think Ankalaev gets it done a little easier this time, and makes it either convincingly, and I would not be surprised to see a stoppage.
Love it, Dean. I appreciate it. I don't know who's going to win. I tend to lean the same direction that you're going. I just hope and pray, and I do think it's going to be much more entertaining, exciting fight. Should be a good one. Goes down UFC 320 in Las Vegas, of course. Dean, we appreciate your time. As always, we appreciate your thoughts. You, the viewer, we appreciate you guys even more. So hit subscribe, and we will see you next time.